Well, check out some of this new video into us from Mobile, Alabama, showing you some of the damage done by some of the big storms that rumbled on through. An apparent tornado rumbling on through the city. Unreal here for us. In fact, Mobile having to deal with 2 tornadoes here in the last 5 days or so. And you can see some of those trees that have been strewn about onto cars, damage to homes as well. Just a terrible situation there on this Christmas time at 1/2 the hour. And thanks for staying with us here on Weather Center Live. I'm Alex Wallace.
And Mobile, 2 tornadoes in 5 days, both rated EF1, or at least the last one was. We're still waiting on the National Weather Service survey teams to get out on this most recent tornado report. Now, here is the wide view of Winter Storm Euclid. We've got the snow off to Little Rock and St. Louis, the rain in Nashville, but still that severe threat ongoing down towards the Gulf Coast. We've got a tornado watch. That's this area shaded in red. It lasts until 5 a.m. Eastern, 4 a.m. Central Time, and we're still seeing that storm racing on through. That line of storms, a lot of lightning, a lot of reports of wind damage, and even if we're not seeing active warnings at the moment, we still have some trouble out there. Alex, let's detail where that weather is.
No doubt about it, Mark. Again, we don't want to let our guard down, even though we haven't seen many warnings within the last hour or so. We still have the storms that are ongoing here. You can see the line that stretches now. It's into southwestern Georgia, all the way down into the panhandle of Florida. Some pretty hefty downpours, decent amount of lightning as well associated with some of those storms. Here's a closer view on what's going on. And again, it's mainly been this southern edge of the line of storms that we focused in on with at least the warnings that were coming in prior to things calming down a little bit. But now we're just talking heavy downpours, maybe some gusty winds that may sneak on into the Albany area and then back down closer towards Panama City. It looks like the bulk of the heaviest rain just moving to your east. But these storms, they have certainly produced some big time issues. Look at all of the storm reports that we've found over the last 12 hours or so, stretching from Louisiana, Mississippi, and down across sections of Alabama, going anywhere from damaging wind reports to hail reports, as well as those tornado reports. A closer view on some of the more recent ones here coming in out of southern Alabama, in and around Troy. Mobile homes damaged here near the airport there in Troy. A possible entrapment due to a possible tornado there. So again, bad issues there in and around Troy. Then we get down just south of the Dothan area, in and around Rehoboth, where 2 trees have been reported as being down, as well as a power line knocked down. So again, even though we aren't seeing any warnings, we still want to be certainly vigilant with these storms, although they're now starting to move east. Dothan out of the woods, maybe a few more lighter showers coming on through, but the heaviest of the downpours well to your east. Then we head on off towards the north now, getting into North Georgia, western South Carolina. Greenville seeing some heavier downpours, down towards Athens and Macon seeing that. Looks like Atlanta starting to see now. You get into the far western suburbs, getting along Interstate 20, you start to run into the clear. So improving conditions in and around Atlanta, and the north, noticing as you head northward, more rain to contend with across Kentucky as well as Tennessee and even into West Virginia. So as we work our way through our Wednesday, you can see what we'll find in terms of the threat for severe storms. Still in place here for you, southern parts of Virginia, all the way down to the north and central sections of Florida. Tampa, Orlando, you're included. Biggest risks would be damaging winds, but those winds could get in excess of 60, even 70 miles per hour, enough to knock down trees, power lines as well. Hail could be an issue, and we can't rule out a few of those isolated tornadoes as we work our way through the day. In fact, Torcon values here as we work our way through our Wednesday, here on into eastern and central North and South Carolina, 5 out of 10, meaning about a 50% chance of dealing with a tornado within a 50-mile radius. Mark?
Well, severe thunderstorms and tornadoes are dangerous no matter what time of day, but at night, the degree of danger is especially high, mostly because people are less likely to be aware of what's happening with the weather. The Weather Channel's Julie Martin shows us what to do if you live in an area where a tornado is likely to hit overnight.
When a tornado hits in the middle of the night, there's little time to think, let alone feel anything. Cincinnati, Arkansas is a perfect example. A tornado struck in the early morning hours on New Year's Day.
This is where your daughter sleeps.
Yeah.
The Hignite family survived this killer tornado in the hallway. Fortunately, it woke them in time. But relying on a tornado or even a siren to jar you from sleep is not a safe bet. There is no national requirement for tornado siren systems. Many areas don't have them. Tools like NOAA weather radios and the Weather Channel's Notify system can keep you alive.
Actually, the Weather Channel called my cell phone. So honestly, it probably saved my life.
So go over your family's weather plan now. Look for shelter in a small, windowless, first-floor interior room like a closet or bathroom. I'm Julie Martin, the Weather Channel.
Thanks, Julie, because this is one of those nights where severe weather is still ongoing through the nighttime hours. In fact, Winter Storm Euclid all the way over here. This is the snow side of the storm, the severe weather threat down towards the Gulf Coast. And again, no warnings right now, but still a lot of gusty winds on the way. And we have a parade of storms coming towards the western United States. So we're certainly not done here at the Weather Channel as we are watching this pinwheel of a storm moving in towards the coast. It's got a moisture train that can be connected all the way back to the Hawaiian Islands, believe it or not. And then we can look up towards the Gulf of Alaska, where this is the next area of low pressure in our series of storms. So what does that mean for what we're seeing right now? Well, lower elevation rains continue out west. The higher elevation snows do as well. It's just been a great setup for the ski resorts in the west, and some lighter rain showers up I-5 towards Portland. Alex.
All right, well, much more to come on Winter Storm Euclid. We have more on the snow and ice from this system. Get a report from Mike Seidel in Oklahoma City. It's all straight ahead, so stay with us here on Weather Center Live. Well, you're watching Weather Center Live. We have more of our special coverage of Winter Storm Euclid.
Let's get an update now from meteorologist Mike Seidel on the snow in Oklahoma City tonight.
It is a blustery and frigid Christmas night here in Oklahoma City. Winds have gusted to nearly 40 miles an hour. Wind chills are in the single numbers. This massive storm has dumped snow as far south as North Texas and has produced rare Christmas tornadoes. Look at this rain and wind. This is storm chaser video near McNeil, Mississippi, where a tornado reportedly touched down this afternoon. There are reports of injuries and damage. And there is a rare Christmas snowfall hitting Dallas. It's bad news on the roads, signs warning of icy conditions. At least 3 reported tornadoes touched down across Texas today, causing lots of damage and leaving thousands without power. Thunderstorm winds toppled this tree onto a pickup truck in the Houston area, killing the driver. No fatalities, but plenty of cleanup this morning in Oklahoma City following this massive pileup. 21 cars and tractor trailers crashed, slipping on roads coated with freezing rain. Not just wind and ice, but snow is pounding parts of the west. In Northern California, near Lake Tahoe, an avalanche buried and killed a snowboarder. In Reno, slush is making a mess of streets. And poor visibility is a problem on the roads across the Rockies. Near Salt Lake City,
what happened?
I'm slid off.
The Department of Transportation is putting up flashing signs to help warn travelers. When temperatures dropped and snow started falling, the cars started sliding, and this semi crashed off I-80. Outside of Denver, snowplows are trying to clear things up. Here you can see the snow getting worse, blowing across the road from the hillside below. Lousy for drivers, but good times for sleigh riders and snowboarders. And take a look at these photos from northern Arizona. Low visibility on the roads near Flagstaff. Blizzard and winter storm warnings are flying tonight from Arkansas to Maine. Some of those don't end until early Friday morning. This is going to be a long duration event. Now for the big cities, Boston, New York, Philadelphia, it's going to be rain and wind. And that wind tomorrow evening and to Thursday could gust as high as 60 miles an hour. That could knock out power. And if you're flying tomorrow in and out of the northeast hubs, boy, pack a lunch. There could be long flight delays. Back to you.
Thanks, Mike. And really, the eastern 2/3 of the country could see some pretty horrendous travel weather. Let's get into Indianapolis, where we're seeing a windswept snow on the way for the day. That's Winter Storm Euclid and heading straight for Indianapolis and Cleveland. So big delays certainly possible there. And a windswept rain in New York could slow things down for you too. In Nashville, rain and snow will be ending, but not before you cause some significant delays. Charlotte, morning showers and storms, they'll be ending. So some delays early. If you have a later flight, you've got a better chance of leaving on time. Let's get into the details here where you're going to see those flight delay chances. Indianapolis, we mentioned you, Detroit, Cleveland, really in the heart of Winter Storm Euclid, that area of low pressure coming straight on through, and that means we're going to see some big delays. That red color is the trouble. It's not just in the air. St. Louis, you're going to see problems in the morning. This morning, some light snow showers. Making your way along I-70 over towards Indianapolis from the morning right on through 11 p.m. You're going to see heavy snow. And as we continue towards the east, Columbus, you're going to see snow from the morning until the evening hours. It could be heavy at times. You could see very low visibilities. Not great road travel, that's for sure. Here in the Northeast Corridor, well, we're looking at the planes that will be slow from D.C. over towards Pittsburgh, and I-80 is going to be slow really through the day, continuing on in towards Thursday. Now, Cleveland, heavy snow certainly possible. So through the day, really into the overnight hours, heavy snow for you. We make our way into State College. You're going to see heavy snow, rain to your south, kind of that mixed zone too. So if you go off of I-80, it's not going to be any fun. And heading towards New York City and the Big Apple, well, there's going to be rain for you, but still I-80 will be slow because of that rain. In the southeast, our storm system finally leaving Charlotte. You're going to see some problems at the airport, but you're clearing out for Atlanta, and especially once you get back towards New Orleans. And finally, in the west, a series of storm systems for you. Some snow in the interior west. Salt Lake City could see some delays because of that, but that rain should be ending towards San Francisco and Los Angeles, so no real problems through the day. But as we work our way through Thursday, it looks like decent travel out west. Alex, over to you.
All right, well, new information on Winter Storm Euclid is coming in all the time. We're keeping you up to date on the impacts and the forecast. We'll have the latest track on what's happening now and what's to come. That's all straight ahead in your winter weather update, coming up after your local on the 8s.
Well, 50 minutes past the hour, which means it is now time for your winter weather update. And of course, our hands are full here with Winter Storm Euclid making its track across the country. Started off in Texas just a couple of days ago, now moving towards the Midwest with both a severe side and a snow side. But it is the winter weather update, so let's focus in on the snow. And the center of Euclid right about over Memphis at this point. You can easily see that counterclockwise flow around the system, but what that's doing is bringing all that Gulf of Mexico moisture up directly into the cold air. So we've seen a lot of snow, but more importantly, for those with weather lovers out there, we are seeing thunder snow right now. I've highlighted the lightning strikes in red for you, and check this out. From southeastern Missouri into southern Illinois, widespread thunder snow right now. We're seeing cloud tops in this thunder snow region anywhere from 20 to 30,000 feet, which is very impressive for snow, especially considering that thunder snow happens a little bit different way from normal thunderstorms. It's a little pocket of instability where you have the right mix of raindrops and snowflakes and the charges separate, and we have seen very heavy snowfall rates across this area. It's why we're seeing blizzard warnings up across northeastern Arkansas, continuing into southeastern Missouri, and then up through much of southern Illinois and Indiana. Anywhere in orange, blizzard warnings continuing through the overnight hours. And all our advisories continue into the northeast as well. We've got winter storm warnings widespread here across interior sections of the northeast. You notice right along the I-95 corridor, it's mostly going to be a rain event. You might buy a snowflake or two when this storm system shuts down, but your real chances might not come for several more days for snowfall. This is the water vapor imagery here, and I want to show you this because we've got two different jet streams involved. Down towards the south here, we've got the subtropical jet. That's kicking up some of the thunderstorms. Then we have this big dip in the jet stream, this big curve. You can see it in the dry air, and that's what's really invigorating the cold air side of things. That's why we're seeing that thunder snow kicking in across the Midwest right now, and it's why we're going to continue to see those very heavy snowfall rates. This is one of the models that will indicate where that heavy snow is going to go. Through the overnight hours, you can see it. It's already in place. This low moves on off towards the north and east. And by the time we get into Wednesday afternoon, this low is going to start to lose some of its oomph. A new low will start to kick in across North Carolina or Virginia. Now, this first low, it's still going to have enough power to give some snow through Indiana, through Ohio. That snow is going to be heavy. There's going to be a lot of wind with it. But eventually, our secondary low takes over. And that's going to help pull up that moisture from the Atlantic Ocean. So more warm, juicy air is going to get thrown back inland into the cold zone. And that's going to kick up the very heavy snowfalls for the interior sections of New England. And that's going to last all the way through Thursday, if not overnight into Friday. How much snow are we talking here? Not counting what's already falling. From right now through Friday morning, we're looking at pretty significant snowfall totals. South of Indianapolis, you're right on the border of that 6 to 12 range. Into New England we go, and the lakes get involved too. So we'll have a little pocket of 12 inches plus for you. You're going to be close to that heavy snow in Syracuse, 6 to 12 inches easily through Friday morning. And we can't forget about those of you out west, as we've got another series of storm systems for you too. And that means more mountain snows and great news for the ski resorts there. Alex. Alex.
All right, so that's the wintry side of things. There's the severe side of things as well. Moving our way farther south into parts of Georgia, down into Florida, a tornado watch that is still in effect here for you till 4 o'clock Central Time, 5 o'clock Eastern. And some of the areas, including Albany, included in that watch area, all the way down towards Apalachicola. The good news is now most of Alabama out of the watch area as the threat has now moved on well to your east. The other good news is we haven't seen many warnings over the last hour and a half.
Yeah, definitely good news with the severe side calming down just a bit. But our special coverage of Euclid continues, coming up next with first forecast here on the Weather Channel.
And don't forget, of course, we are online on weather.com and on your phone too.
Well, caught on tape, a tornado tracking through Mobile, Alabama. Ahead, the damage it produced and who faces more severe weather through Wednesday. And Winter Storm Euclid not only gave Dallas a white Christmas, it dumped 9 inches of snow on Little Rock while you slept. Your first forecast on the places that could get plastered over the next 3 days starts right now. Well, it is now officially the day after Christmas. From the East Coast to the West Coast, welcome to an expanded edition of First Forecast, so we track all sides of our latest winter storm. I'm Eric Fisher. I'll be taking you through the next 4 hours right here on the Weather Channel. And this storm we're calling Euclid, still creating some severe weather as it rolls its way through the south, even here into the heart of the night in the early morning hours. You can take a look at the radar and what we're tracking for you. We do have a tornado watch that's still in effect for a while here, and that is going to be lasting across southern Georgia and into the northern portion of Florida. That includes Albany, Georgia, and down into Tallahassee and Apalachicola. Line of storms has been marching through there. We don't have any warnings on that line right now. That's the good news. The last couple of hours, we've seen fewer warnings. Still some strong wind gusts in that particular segment. Some heavier rain that's moving east of Atlanta over into Greenville. Lots of severe weather reports over the past 12 hours. Here's the very latest on the impact so far from Euclid's severe side. Our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, has counted at least 19 preliminary reports of tornadoes. He says that would be the most tornado reports ever recorded on a Christmas day. Mississippi saw several of them, and the state's governor has declared a state of emergency. And another apparent tornado ripped through part of downtown Mobile, Alabama. It damaged businesses and a high school there. And just a few short hours ago, our own Jim Cantori arrived in Mobile, and he updated us by phone on the damage he saw both in Mobile and en route there.
But I'll tell you, there's spots where there's just no power. Home after home after home. I mean, you can just imagine when people woke up and enjoyed Christmas morning with their kids and their families, they probably didn't anticipate not having power and in some cases having the damage, guys. But we made our way down from Hattiesburg, we went through Wiggins, and Wiggins may have had a tornado there. There were trees across the road, and we had to get rerouted around, and that's why it took us so long. But, you know, I'm just looking into the Mobile chat site and through here. I mean, look at all these tornadoes reported in Riverwood, in Theodore, in Pattsburg, Luverne, all these areas up in Mississippi, Texas County. And, guys, here's the tornado again that we're talking about in the Mobile area. Looked like a huge wedge tornado that came through, did some damage to hospitals, to this Murphy High School that I have not seen yet, but you know, that's the area that we're trying to make our way to. So homes, businesses in the Midtown Mobile area have been damaged. Also, about 19,000 to 25,000 customers without power here, with trees and power lines down. And the latest out of Jackson, I wanted to share with you. I just saw 6 injured reported now. So this was what I was reporting about earlier when I was up in Hattiesburg, 3 miles to the southwest of McNeil. Emergency managers just found coming with that report, 6 injuries there and reports of damaged or destroyed at least a dozen homes up there. You know, we can't help, you know, at least get everybody out of harm's way, but we can do the best job that we can, and I think that the word did get out because of, you know, models these days. Technology really helped us out. Certainly a historic day in terms of tornado counts.
That's the voice of Jim Cantor reporting by phone. He'll be live on the air later on this morning. There's the report in downtown Mobile with a significant damage, many thousands without power coming through, and those scenes just unbelievable, and no one killed by that storm. Now, so that in itself, perhaps a Christmas miracle. Here's the storm system as it is right now, rotating its way. The center of low pressure at the surface is over southern Tennessee, and we've got certainly plenty of energy along with this. It's been deepening over the last 24 hours. Here's a look at the radar. The heavier storms are from Atlanta southward down toward the Florida Panhandle. There's a nasty squall line here from about Albany southward down to Apalachicola. No warnings, but we could see some strong gusts, maybe up to 50 miles per hour in that particular line. Heavy rain just been dousing northern Georgia here. It's moving out of the Atlanta area, so we've got showers right now and some gusty winds. The heavier rain is starting to move out, and that rain extends all the way up here into eastern Kentucky. And then look at western Kentucky. That's the wintry side of all this, getting into the snow. We'll touch on that in a moment. A lot of rainfall all across the south over the last day, and most spots seeing anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rain. We'll see that reflected in the drought report later on, so that's going to be a positive out of all of this. You take a look at the future radar, what we're concerned for this afternoon, eastern North Carolina and eastern South Carolina. This is where we could see some of the stronger thunderstorms develop, maybe a couple more tornadoes today, certainly some straight line winds. And that could rotate up into the Chesapeake area and eventually even into southern New Jersey by this evening. Could see some stronger storms, not anticipating anything like tornadoes there. We take a look at the setup for today here, and we've got the very moist, warm air still across southern Georgia, South Carolina, Florida. So especially northern Florida will hold on to those thunderstorms this morning. The cold air driving in from the west. And here's the outlook. We've got generally the red area from southern Virginia, southern Delaware, stretching down toward Tampa and Orlando. Then we go to the wintry side of all this and what we're tracking there, and we've got the snowflakes. Rock saw significant snow. North Little Rock reporting up to 6 to 9 inches of snowfall out there. We call that a good old-fashioned Christmas Day snowstorm. Unbelievable sights coming out of there. So let's talk about what's going on that end. We've got blizzard warnings that are up for northeastern parts of Arkansas, lower Ohio River Valley, including Paducah. We've seen thunder snow in the area right now. Around Indianapolis, blizzard warning that stretches up just outside of Columbus. Then the winter storm warnings, all of upstate New York, northern New England. We're going to see a huge amount of snowfall here as we move forward into time. There's the snow right now, starting to taper off in Little Rock. You're just about done at around 9 inches total, but we've got quite a bit of snow coming down across southeast Missouri, around Paducah and Evansville, Mount Vernon, southern Illinois, all seeing the snow come down, gusty winds blowing it around, so not good travel times there. Indianapolis, not yet. Well, it'll be evaporating, and eventually we'll pick it up. The visibility, as you can see, down to a half-mile Poplar Bluff, 3/4 of a mile in Jonesboro. We'll have more details on the forecast on this coming up after the break as first forecast continues here. Continuing our coverage for you here throughout the night and the morning and through the day today as we have a powerful winter storm marching off toward the north and east. So stay tuned. More coming up after your local weather on the 8s. Welcome back to first forecast of snowy scenes in Salt Lake City as much of the west continues to get blasted by some wintry weather. Accidents have been an issue at times, more snow falling across. Fun for if you're a skier, but if you're traveling, boy, it has been very sloppy at times, and most of the wintry weather featured in Utah and California right now. So let's talk about the west and what's going on here. We've had certainly an impact not just on the roads, but on some of the slopes. The danger of avalanches has certainly increased, and in California, one has proven deadly, as Kevin Oliver of KCRA explains.
A very sad situation out here, devastating and now deadly. We now know that one person is dead. We had several trees topple over in this area north of Houston in Tomball. More than 30 trees fell. One tree actually fell on top of the road right here on Eldridge Road. And a person was actually a good Samaritan, was trying to remove the tree from the roadway, and then another tree suddenly fell on top of that person. And now we are learning that person is dead. The body has been removed, but officers have blocked off the scene and blocked off the roadway out here. We had a strong storm move through, dumping heavy rain and kicking up the winds. We have winds gusting up to 44, 50 miles per hour. And in the hour that we have been here, we have seen 2 trees fall, and we continue to hear crackling noises out here with several trees, and a line of trees are actually dead, but they are continuing to fall in these strong, gusty wind conditions. So unfortunately, a devastating and deadly scene here in Tomball, north of Houston. Reporting for the Weather Channel, I'm Mary Lee.
Obviously, that report there on the severe weather in southeast Texas during the day yesterday. We'll talk about that avalanche story a little bit later on the show. Now, on Sunday, 3 riders actually triggered an avalanche at Squaw Valley, and 2 people received minor injuries, but no one was buried. And we want to go back to the west and what we're tracking there in terms of the snowy weather. So here's a look at the pattern and what we're watching for you. I hope it's coming. I think it's coming anyway. There we go. Some winter weather alerts that are in effect here across eastern Oregon into Nevada, some of the mountains of California and across Utah. As we mentioned previously, the snow falling right now. Some of that energy just swinging in. You notice a little spin of upper level low pressure that's off the west coast, and that is driving in some of the moisture. And eventually the storm is going to track across the country. There's the light snow approaching Salt Lake City and moving back into the Wasatch. Some heavier snow moving into the coastal range here in Northern California and in around Lake Tahoe, picking up more snowfall, and even down to the south. Southern Sierra picking up the snowfall now with rain in Fresno and rain in the Bay Area. It was a very wet Christmas day for San Francisco. Here's where that storm is going to do as we move forward into time. We have the energy cross the mountains heading through Thursday and Friday. That's going to spread more snow for the Rockies. So we're going to add to some of those big totals. And then as we head towards Saturday, looks like some of the snowy weather could work into parts of the south, maybe the southern Appalachians, the central Appalachians, maybe in Washington, D.C., southern tier Pennsylvania could pick up some light snow. New York City. Right now, it looks like this track may go a little bit more offshore. That's been the trend over the last 24 hours. So maybe not as significant impacts to coastal New England, but a storm you want to watch. If it tracks a little bit closer to the coast, you could see some decent snow in places like Cape Cod or maybe even Boston and Providence. So that's a look at the next storm here. How about the forecast out the door today? We focus in on Dallas, where you had wild weather yesterday. I mean, we went from thunderstorms and hail in the morning to just pouring rain to snow. You got a white Christmas with a few inches of snow in the Metroplex area. Today, temperatures staying chilly, highs in the 30s, blustery winds in the Big D. So what a change of pace. Meanwhile, our eyewitness team, you've been out in the ground here, even on the holiday, and tracking some of the impacts from Euclid and taking video, sending it in. Here's some snow that came in from Prosper, Texas, sent in by 2 members of our eyewitness team. You can see how things change rapidly across the Lone Star. Welcome back into First Forecast on this day after Christmas, early morning. Now, last block there, we were talking about a story out of the west with avalanche proving deadly. Here is that story from Kevin Oliver of KCRA.
Ski patrol raced down the hill with the avalanche victim to a waiting ambulance where paramedics tried to save the man with CPR. The truckie man had been buried for almost 5 hours by that point. His friends left on our ski ranch in shock. They said the man just moved back to the area and this was his first outing of the season.
We had been telling ski patrol, like, we're missing a guy, but they didn't start looking for him until like 2-3 hours later.
The man was found buried in more than 2 feet of snow at the base of a rocky ridge. Friends said he was snowboarding above it when the snow broke free. His friends said they searched where he was spotted just before the slide.
His friends, the other friends that were going to be at our group, were looking for him and probing around, but they didn't find him, and he was at the bottom of the cliff instead of the top.
Sheriff's deputies said the resort's ski patrol did do a preliminary search.
They did initial kind of a courtesy search around, didn't find anything. We're concerned for safety reasons because of the unstable ice that's still up there, so they kind of backed off.
But after more time passed and there was still no sign of the man, search crews from neighboring resorts were called in and the victim was found. The resort was shut down for the day and skiers and snowboarders were sent home.
Well, new into us overnight, this is video of the damage that you're finding in Mobile, Alabama. An apparent tornado ripped through the downtown area yesterday evening. We have reports of thousands without power and damage to a high school and buildings around downtown. Our own Jim Cantori is there. He'll update us live later on this morning. You know, sometimes you wait for the sun to come up the next day to really find out what happened. And looking at these images and the scope of this tornado, you have to imagine there's more damage than we've already heard of. You can look at that video online at weather.com. It's up on the homepage here from 2 different angles. A couple of folks had their cameras out on that Christmas night, and just a huge wedge tornado moving through the city. And actually, almost in the exact spot they had a tornado 5 days previous there in Mobile. Let's talk about how weather's going to be shaping up here moving through the end of the year. That's in our 7-day forecast as we get toward the start of January. Can you believe? Almost here. So today, the big story, the fact that we've got severe ongoing Florida, Georgia, into South Carolina, North Carolina. That's going to be your main red zone. But the snow becomes a bigger story today. Very snowy day for western Kentucky, stretching up through Indiana and Ohio, and then by later today into western New York. Meanwhile, in the west, more energy bringing more snow, especially across Idaho and into the Sierra and Utah. All states, they're going to be picking up some pretty significant totals. Temperatures, well, much colder in Dallas. 36 is your high temp, 28 in Kansas City, 56 in Atlanta, but dropping pretty quickly. That front is going to be moving through very shortly here in Atlanta, and that's going to bring some big changes, windy and colder for the afternoon. So we head toward tomorrow, a lot of snow coming down across interior New England, western New York into western PA. You're all going to be talking about
about a winter wonderland. Not a good travel day. Wind and rain for Boston and New York. Could see some coastal flooding mixing in with that also. Here's our snow spreading across the northern plains with our next system. Lots of cold air across the northern tier. 25 the high in Minneapolis, 26 in Denver. Atlanta staying in the 40s to around 50, and Louisville a high of 37 degrees. And there's Boston and New York in the 40s. All rain event for you. We talk about Friday, and some showers and storms start to pop up in the lower Mississippi Valley. Could be some snow on the northern fringe of this. And you look at the temps, and we're about average. So it's very seasonable weather. You look at Chicago, 34 degrees, a mid-20s in Minneapolis, 43 Louisville, 31 in Kansas City. So there's not a ton of cold air, but average at the end of December is usually cold enough to support some snow. And Saturday looks to be the day we could see some more significant snow. Maybe the southern central Appalachians, moving up to a place like Washington, D.C., maybe Richmond, maybe even to New York. We're going to be fine-tuning this storm as we get a little bit closer, but all those locations could be picking up. It looks like a small to moderate type winter event. At least that's the way it looks right now. We get towards Sunday, and the question mark is, how close to the coast will it be? Eastern New England has the highest chance of picking up snow from this, but it may slide out to sea and create very minimal impacts, just a lot of wind and drag down some colder air. So that's another one to stay tuned for. We get toward Monday. I believe this is the last day of the year and New Year's Eve. Looks like some showers here across Texas into Oklahoma. Most of the country is seasonable and pretty dry. So if you're watching the ball drop or whatever the local tradition is, you're going to be talking about fairly quiet weather. Things become more active as we head toward Tuesday. More rain across the south, maybe some snow on the northern end of this system. Maybe in your plans today, I know we've got a lot of weather out there, but we had Christmas yesterday. Maybe you've got some gift cards, or maybe lo and behold, you might be returning something. We know it happens every once in a while. Here's the weather as you head out to some of the major malls across the nation. So we've got the Mall of America in Bloomington, Minnesota. We're talking about very cold temperatures, low of 3 degrees there. We get in, their days aren't right on this. Even at this hour, sometimes computers, they don't like to work either. So we're going to update those forecasts later. I can tell you the Mall of on 5th Avenue there in New York City today is going starts to roll in. Coming up next year on First Forecast, we've got the severe and wintry sides of Euclid. We'll take a look back at the year's tornado troubles and your full winter weather update at 50 minutes past the hour.